think what people don't tell you about PhDs is intellectual flexibility and time flexibility as well.
Yes.
I don't know whether to say, oh, I'm self-employed or I'm doing my PhD. So I'm breaking the fourth wall because I'm talking directly to the camera because that question is so serious.
We watched the Olympics.
Yes.
In France.
Yes.
And I saw how you celebrated. Can you tell us the reason why you celebrated?
My God. What a time. I mean, it was such a time.
Within the Black community, what would you end up saying is one of the biggest challenges that tends to affect the sufferers or the family in terms of dementia? Hello everyone, welcome back to the Shelf Conversation podcast. I hope you missed me, you missed all my guests, and today I've also got another special guest. But before I go into it, on this episode, I'm honored to welcome Rianna Patterson. She is a multi-award winning advocate, TEDx speaker, and a changemaker dedicated to dementia awareness. Rianna is the founder of Dominica Dementia Foundation, an organization she launched at just 18 years old to support families affected by dementia in the Caribbean. She is also the director of Dementia, The Island Journey, a powerful documentary exploring the realities of dementia in the Caribbean and the impact on communities. Her work has taken her across the Caribbean, the UK, the USA, where she has shared her story and contribution to global conversation on health and social impact. She has also collaborated with FTSE 100 companies, helping them enhance their employee well-being programs through training and consultancy. Rihanna's contribution has been recognized with numerous prestigious awards, including the Diana Awards in 2022 and an honor from the late Queen Elizabeth II. Academically, she holds a Bachelor in Psychology from the University of Kent, Master's degree from the University College of London, which is Good Enough College, and is currently pursuing PhD at the University of Nottingham, contributing or continuing her research and advocacy in dementia. With a unique blend of personal storytelling, professional expertise, and a passion for social change, Rianna is a powerful voice in dementia awareness and mental well-being. Today, we will dive into her journey, the challenges surrounding dementia in the Black community, and how she can create a better support system in individuals and families. So, the Shelf Conversation family, help me welcome Rianna onto our podcast. Woo! I had to take some breath whilst I was reading your profile. You've done enough for yourself. You've done enough for yourself, Rianna. You've done amazing stuff and continue doing it. Let me start it from that point. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. It's good to be on your podcast.
Thank you, finally.
Finally.
Yeah, sure. So we will start by asking, how was growing up in Dominica like?
Oh, it was fantastic. I mean, in Dominica, there's so much to do, and Dominica has so much to offer for everyone, whether it be entrepreneurial opportunities or naturistic landscapes. I mean, it was just amazing. And I grew up with my grandparents and my mom, and that's where I found my best friend, and that's where I found various hobbies like photography, skating, skateboarding. I did all sorts, climbing trees to get oranges and mangoes. And
I can relate to that.
Yes. So
I can relate
to that. It's been amazing.
That's fantastic. And before we started the podcast, we were having a conversation about intercultural differences, because you made me aware that you were born in the UK.
Yes.
So at what point did you go to Dominica?
I left the UK when I was really young to go back. So my time in the UK was very short. And all I know really is Dominica, until I came here to do my bachelor's. Fantastic.
So if you take us back in terms of Dominica, like in terms of, I know there's going to be different cultures and going to be different systems. How varied is it from the UK?
Quite varied.
Quite varied. Is it extreme?
I think for one thing or the other, definitely the way people live there is completely different. The quality of life is completely different. It's a about more slow living, I would say, in Dominica. Like, people are productive, but they are productive in their own way,
Okay.
you know. But here, it's a bit more structured productivity
Yeah.
and more time bound and maybe a bit more organized,
Okay.
potentially. So I definitely see that differentiation. I think, I don't know about the drive. That would be quite interesting to actually study. The drive, is it different in Dominica? Is it different in the UK? I don't know, but I would say that we're definitely talented people and very ambitious, as well as people in the UK as well. But yeah, I think we value things like family life, community, and just doing things in a way that's a bit more healthier, that brings on that healthy lifestyle. Definitely. I mean, we do a lot of farming back home, and agriculture's, well respected field. And even women are even going into agricultural spaces now. So yeah, I think there's a lot of innovation going on in Dominica, definitely when it comes to that sort of landscape.
Fantastic. For my viewers and listeners who are listening and do not know where Dominica is located, which part of the world can we locate Dominica?
So I'm breaking the fourth wall because I'm talking directly to the camera because that question is so serious. Oh, God. Yes, yes. So Dominica is not Dominican Republic. A lot of people think it's Dominican Republic. We are both in the Caribbean region. However, Dominica is situated between Guadeloupe and Martinique. We're an English-speaking country, but we also speak Creole, which is our native language. Dominican Republic is a Spanish country attached to Haiti. And yeah, they're, I guess, quite varied because we celebrate Creole. DR does not celebrate Creole. So that's the disparity, long and short of it.
Fantastic. Because a lot of people, even including myself, when I went on Google and I typed Dominica,
Yeah.
I ended up typing Dominican Republic. And in your bio,
Yeah.
you have got your flag. So when I saw the flag, it doesn't match. So I said, I think I've made an error. I don't want to end up coming on my own podcast and have not done my due research. So I was actually happy that I was able to end up differentiating. And also to add on to it, we watched the Olympics in France.
Yes.
And in Paris, France. And I saw how you celebrated. Can you tell us the reason why you celebrated?
My God. What a time. I mean, it was such a time because it was the first time that we've actually been able to win a gold medal. And it's not DR, it's Dominica, which is, again, Republic country, DR, we're a Commonwealth country. Okay. So that's another variation. And yeah, first time in history. So we made history and I was crying. Yeah. I was in tears.
So for the one who won, the one is from Dominica, where you are from, right?
Yeah, Fia Laford Gatson. Yeah. She's from Dominica and she did us so proud, honestly. She came home, we celebrated her. It was a whole parade. I was so sad because I was not there.
You're not there, you were here in the UK.
I was just in tears watching it live again. Yeah. So yeah, it was really emotional because it was like for the first time ever, the world just kind of stopped for us.
Yes.
And it was just like, we are here, we exist, we're a country.
And it was a woman.
Exactly. So, I mean, it was fantastic. And she's so well spoken. And I mean, she has been building up, years of practice for that one moment. Mm-hmm. Just a couple of seconds.
Yes.
I just think it's fantastic, phenomenal. Her hard work, it's definitely paid off.
And she showed the world that accumulation of the practice that she's having ended up exposing the talent, not only her talent, but the country. It helped. I believe someone have actually thought that, okay, so all this while there's Dominica and Dominican Republic. Her win has also added that extra value that the country has already for people to be able to know more. Absolutely. That let me explore more about the country, because it's like some people confuse Ghana and Guyana, until Ghana went to the World Cup in 2006 in Germany and they saw Ghana play beautifully and excel. that's when they realized that, oh, there's a country in Africa called Ghana.
Wow.
And coming to Ghana, I know that you have got a Ghanaian heritage as
Yes.
well. How do you relate to it?
So that one is also very interesting because I feel like I do identify with my heritage, but the only thing is I don't know enough to actually rep Ghana and hold the flag of Ghana, if that makes sense.
You're
I
sitting here with a proud Ghanaian, so don't worry.
you know,
I'll hold your hands. We'll go to Ghana. We're not
That's
going to
it.
Accra. We're going
That's
to Kumasi.
it.
That's where
Yes.
I'm from. I'm repping Kumasi.
Wow.
So you have not traveled
Exactly.
there
I
yet?
haven't been there. I am waiting for my 30th, God's willing. I'm like, this is a trip that I will go, and it will be like a self-exploration trip. You know, maybe a documentary might come out of it, maybe not.
great.
I don't know. But I just want to go there for my 30th and enter into that new chapter, knowing a bit more about my side of the family. I know that I'm from the Fente tribe.
Fante.
Fante tribe.
Oh,
yeah,
so you're an Akan?
Yes.
Don't worry, you belong to the same group. I'm an Asante. So
Okay.
to just add more to it, so this is how it is.
Yes.
We have got the ethnic group. So in terms of ethnic group, we are both Akans.
Okay.
But when you break it down to tribes, you're Fanti
Yes.
and I'm Asante.
Yes.
We've got a lot of similarities. So you might be looking at maybe the central or the western. That's where most of the Fantis are based.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It'll be an interesting trip. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's something I just need to do.
When you're ready, let me know.
For sure. I will definitely message you.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So in terms of sharing about your growing up in Dominica, did that actually help you and shape your passion for advocacy and public speaking?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I graduated college, and then I just took a year out to just kind of explore different fields and just figure out what I'm actually passionate and interested about. So I volunteered for the Women's Council after college, and then that's where I kind of met people that kind of developed my professional credentials and I guess associations. And that is also where I found out about the Queen's Young Leaders program, which I didn't know about. I didn't know it existed before. I think it was on its maybe second or third year at that point. And one of my colleagues got the award, and I was just like, wow, I could not believe it. I mean, we were both volunteering in the same place.
Yeah.
So I was just so happy.
During that time,
her.
were you volunteering from Dominica, or you have come to the UK?
No, I was in Dominica.
You're in Dominica.
Yeah. So then it kind of was like a light bulb moment for me, because I was just like, exactly. I was like, okay, so what can I do for my community? Now it just kind of, the realization kicked in, because I was like, okay, I've been volunteering there for a couple of months. I need to go and do my degree soon. You know, I need to do something in this period. Like it's coming to a close. And then I thought, okay, if I am going to do something, it needs to be something I'm passionate about, or it won't last. So that is when I really dig deeper and did some introspection and realized that the experience with my grandfather, which I know we'll get to, is what really inspires me to keep going. So that is when I came to realization, okay, I will create a dementia organization. And from there, being open into the QIL, Queen's Young Leaders community, it kind of opened my eyes to various aspects of leadership and leadership potential, and how to harness that, and how to kind of, I guess, also propel others to, you know, achieve their goals and aspirations. So that is kind of like where the whole advocacy space came out for me, and the realization that there's actually a lot going on in the Commonwealth. Like the Commonwealth is not just a title, but it's actually a group of countries coming together with with shared intentions, you know, and ventures. So that was also something I had no idea. I didn't know that there was the Commonwealth Secretariat, and how all the Commonwealth Association and entities kind of operate as well. So that was really interesting and eye-opening for me. So that is where it all started in Dominica.
Fantastic. Yeah, I can actually relate to that, because sometimes we might be doing these kind of stuff already. We might not know the impact we're having on people's lives. Then one moment you look at someone else's story and it's like, wait, this person did this and got that. I'm also doing it. So I think I can not that you're not taking it serious. However, you will take it to a different place whereby
Yeah.
you will showcasing it and highlighting for the community to know. Because sometimes whenever we use the word advocate or advocacy, some people feel like it's something big. It's something that tightens them, like it binds them, and it's something that there's much expected of them. Obviously, there's going to be much expected of you.
Yeah.
However, it's not like you are bound to do something that you are not willing
Yes.
to do. As
Yeah.
you said, it's passion. It can be a large scale, it can be a small scale. So all the time, whenever that question is thrown at me or people ask me about it, sometimes there's a light bulb moment that comes to my mind that, wait, am I actually an advocate or is it just a title? But all the stuff I'm doing, the passion I'm putting in and everything I'm doing regarding mental health, which this platform is all about, tends to showcase that, yes, you want to see a difference. You want to see a change, which is what you started doing and your friend motivated you to do it. And both of us got recognized by the Diana Awards in 2022 because I saw someone else's profile a year before and I read and I said, actually, I'm doing all these kind of stuff. So what can I do to end up making people aware of the work I'm doing? Because there might be a community elsewhere who are going to benefit from what I'm doing, who might even want to collaborate with me, not for monetary purposes, but to maximize the work and maximize my voice and find the niche. Because sometimes we might be doing it, let's say in the UK, but UK might not, or the people in Britain might not benefit from our work directly.
Yeah.
It might be somewhere in Africa, somewhere in the Caribbean that might benefit. So the world is kind of interlinked through all these kind of organizations like the Commonwealth or through social media. People get to know our work. So it was great that you actually put yourself forward and went for it. So you founded the Dominica Dementia Foundation, and you've directed a documentary, which I had the opportunity of coming to Good Enough College to come and view it. And how did this end up influencing your approach to dementia awareness and mental health advocacy?
Yeah, so I see a documentary as a form of health communication.
Yes.
So it's a way of propelling or raising the profile of dementia in various communities. And everyone loves a good film. It's quite accessible.
Was it expensive?
It was about £4,000. That was the budget. Yeah. So I had to crowdfund that because I was looking for funding. I couldn't find funding. So if you're a funder, please.
If you're a founder, please. We have got Rianna over here who's doing something fantastic.
But not even just for me, but just for the film industry as a whole.
Yeah.
We need more funding for filmmakers because everyone has great ideas, but you need financial backing to make it happen. Right. So I did with what I could, and thankful to the community that invested in my idea. I was able to create this documentary film, and it also provided a vehicle for people to tell their stories, stories that you probably would not hear on, I don't know, like HBO or something like that, right? So it's really uncovering those lost stories that people need to hear, these real stories. Like it's not something that was narrative. This is something that's happened in someone's life. So lived experience. And I feel really humbled to be trusted to be able to share and bring out those stories in people. And some of them, it's hard, dementia, it's a high and low journey, Some days will be good days and then other days you need that support. So it's real, and it was very transformational doing this documentary. I learned a lot about dementia that I was not even aware of, and it was just amazing to actually work with a team that got the vision, got the idea and everything like that. So yeah, there was a lot happening behind the scenes.
So for those who want to watch it, can they still watch it?
So it's in film festivals right now, going through the film fest round still.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Fantastic. Which film festival is it in right now?
So right now it's not in any because it's just in progress.
Okay.
But it has been shown in the Windrush Caribbean Film Festival in London. It was also shown in Canada and also a film festival in Guyana. So it's been doing its rounds.
So is it after the film festivals, that's when we will get to be able to see
Yes,
it?
after film festivals, but there is going to be a special documentary premiere in Dominica. So it's coming back to the island next year for the 10th year anniversary
Fantastic.
of the Dominica Dementia Foundation.
Fantastic. And as Rianna said, if you have got any support you can give to the film industry, please, especially her documentary, because we want the rest of the world to be able to see it.
Yes.
So if she gets the support, she'll be able to have it on, other platforms. Right now, Netflix is there, Prime is there. Who knows? If she gets the funding, we can actually find it over there to be able to showcase such a documentary to the rest of the world. Did that your work with Dominica Dementia, did that influence you to continue your master's in there and now doing the PhD?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the work that we've been doing for a number of years now has really made a difference in society. We can actually see real change, real impact, contributing to dialogue, supporting people throughout their caregiving journey and, providing funds for caregiving training. So we've done a grand deal and, going into the Masters in Dementia was like a vehicle or a platform or way of me entering back into the dementia community as a professional because I wanted to start my career in dementia. I've done this for a number of years, advocacy-wise, community
Roughly how
building-wise. 8-9 years, so 10 years next year.
Wow.
Yes. So I wanted to, learn more and specialize in this area. So the master's was allowing me to kind of focus on that for a year, which was incredible. I learned so much and was really up to speed with what is happening in the dementia space because there's like biomarkers for dementia and so forth that's happening and it's ever changing. It's ever changing, right? But being able to just specialize and study dementia, because I didn't have that opportunity in my bachelor's. We touched on it very slightly, but it was just like broad principles of psychology. And I did my thesis on dementia policies in Caribbean communities. So I was literally just focusing on
For your
our region.
masters?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was incredible. And that gave me the idea of then wanting to do a PhD because I was like, I want to kind of take this a bit further because I'm really interested in what I found in my thesis and added on to that. However, I didn't get the funding for the PhD proposal that was like the add-on to my master's, but I got a PhD offer, which was in dementia. So I was just like, yes, this is God's
plan.
Yeah, God's plan.
That's
so
it.
we got there anyways.
And you've started it, isn't it?
Yes.
How is it going?
It's going really well. I think what people don't tell you about PhDs is intellectual flexibility and time flexibility as well, because I feel like I'm self-employed. I don't know whether to say I'm self-employed or I'm doing my PhD because
so you have to strategize your own time with your task and everything.
It's guided. You have your supervisors as with your masters, but it's very much
open for
take
you to
ownership of what you're doing. And I feel like most of my days is writing, but also personal development. So I do have different courses I need to do, but they're not assessed. There's no assessments. There's no classes I need to go to. Okay. It's just
research.
They call it training points at my university. So you need to get specific number of training points. And then alongside that, the thesis as well you need to be working on. But it's very free-flowing, I would say. Yeah.
And how many years is that?
4 years.
4 years. Oh. Fantastic.
You said,
all the best. But 4 years, you may think 4 years is long.
Yes.
We are now in 2025.
Yes.
2029 is just around the corner, trust me.
You.
And plus, because you enjoy it, you wouldn't end up knowing, like, time is not going to be it's going to be on your side.
Yes.
Because you as you are going, you're progressing, you are tending to find new information and you having your eureka moments. Sometimes you would end up experiencing those moments whereby you feel like, it's not actually working.
Yeah.
But you're really doing well.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best in that as well. Hopefully by 2029, we'll be sitting back here and we'll call you a professor or doctor?
Doctor, yes.
Dr. Rianna Patterson. We profess that in Jesus' name.
Amen. Professor, I receive it as well.
Amen. So, another good news that I ended up actually finding out, which you shared, was that your campaign is being featured on British Airways.
So yes, this is another arm of what I'm doing. So I'm a young ambassador for the Prince's Trust.
Fantastic.
And they did a campaign to just kind of showcase the work that they're doing with aviation and British Airways. They were partnering with them. So yeah, I mean, I am the headliner image for that campaign on BA. So
is it all BA flights?
Yes.
So anyone listening to this or watching this, please, once you get into your BA flight, please take a picture and send it or tag Rianna on social media so that we end up actually making it loud, because it's fantastic that young lady born in the UK, go back to Dominica, do a lot of advocacy, become an ambassador, and today she's being featured on BA.
Yes, I mean, it's under All Entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, it's been going for a while, but I just haven't been able to see it personally.
Okay.
So then I was like, no, this time round, I must go. And it was just so surreal.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my gosh, like, wow.
I'm seeing myself.
This is
did
crazy.
you let the air hostess or the pilot know that, you know, they've got a superstar in the plane? Wow, that's actually surreal. And
yes.
So what was actually the most eye-opening part regarding your documentary, Dementia, the Island Journey?
I think seeing it through, to be honest. I mean, it took 2 years or so. I had to delay it because of COVID, and I just felt like what I'm looking for, I wouldn't be able to capture it during that COVID period, because it was like people at arm's length and putting on masks, and that's not really like our culture. We're very much huggy people and very close-knit community focused. So I was just like, no, the vibe that I'm looking for, I will not get it in that.
It would lose its essence.
It would lose the essence of that. So I just thought, let me just postpone it for a year, which was hard because I was working on this for a year already, alongside my other, like my actual 9 to 5.
Okay.
So it was really hard to postpone it, but I'm glad that I did, because it really did get the kind of community element I was looking for. And some of these public events that we were recording would not happen during COVID.
It's true.
So we would miss a lot of that footage. So yeah, it was worth postponing, definitely. So yeah, seeing it through, because it was long. It was long standing. It took a while. It was almost as long as my bachelor's.
Wow.
So
as long as your bachelor's. Because bachelor's is long as well.
Exactly.
It's like 3 years, but eventually everything actually fell. And I think I can see the double entendre in the title. Dementia, the island village, because when people have dementia, they feel like they're alone. It's an island, and Dominica is an island as well. Am I right?
Yes, it is.
I got it. Because whilst we were having this conversation, I had not actually sat down to think about, but whilst we were here, spot on, because I love literature and I love to play on words. So when I read it again, I was like, it's clicking that you are using dementia to represent one, where you are coming from, to the story you are talking about.
Absolutely.
Where you're coming from. And how has storytelling and public speaking helped you to break the stigma and encourage the conversation about dementia?
Yeah, so I've been able to speak about this, in conferences, in film festivals, on the radio, local radio, and, through writing as well. Sometimes I write about dementia as well. So that's been enabled me to reach various communities. So people that listen to the radio more, I would be able to reach them. People that are more online, I could still reach them. So it's allowed me to, reach various people in different capacities, I would say. Fantastic. Which is good.
If you have been listening and watching us up until this point, I believe you've actually loved our conversation. So why haven't you subscribed to the Show of Conversation? So if you haven't done so, please, if you can actually take a pause and subscribe to this channel, because that's how it helps this conversation to grow. And also that is how it also helps me to be motivated to bring more guests on, because if I don't see you subscribing, how can I actually move on with this? I was just playing. Regardless, please, if you can subscribe to us. And also, if you have loved the conversation so far, can you share within the comment section what you've loved about the conversation so far? Because I would love to hear from you, my listeners, and my viewers as well. So please don't forget that as you subscribe, leave your comment section. In the comment section, leave your comment over there to be able to help us interact. And if you've got any question so far from what we have discussed, please don't forget to also drop it over there. Thank you. So coming back, Rianna, we've been talking about what your journey has been so far regarding to dementia. And one thing about the show of conversation is we try to balance social actions with also healthcare as well, because I'm from a healthcare background as a pharmacist, and also trying to specialize within mental health specific and also other neurological condition, which dementia is one of them. So most often, whenever we make mention of dementia, or we make mention of a neurological condition or disease, lots of people tend to look at the sufferer or the patient only, but they don't look at the wider community, which as a Black community, it's not a conversation that we have most often, but statistics actually shows how it affects our community as well. Within the Black community, what would you end up saying is one of the biggest challenges that tends to affect the sufferers or the family in terms of dementia?
I think help seeking. A lot of people in the Black community, they want help, but they don't want people to know that they want help, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they have someone in their household who has dementia, but they don't want to go out there because they're afraid of what my neighbor will say or what the community will think. It's definitely the stigma that's attached to that. And so when people kind of, I guess, don't take action quite quickly, it is a progressive disease.
Yeah.
So their family member will naturally get worse when they needed support. So it's just having that timely intervention, that timely diagnosis is really important to support their family member. So help seeking is really reduced in our community, I would say.
But do people know where to seek the help?
I would say some do, and then maybe some they don't. I mean, yeah, dementia is something that it's quite hard. It's quite hard to figure out where you need to go, but most people would probably go to their GP, in the first instance, or a local hospital or something, and take it from there. If someone is more knowledgeable about this area, they might go to charity first, like Alzheimer's Society, and then maybe get referred from there. But yeah, I mean, it would be helpful to have more tailored knowledge and tailored resources to make sure that we are reaching the people in those communities, so they know, in the event that this thing happens in the household, where to go.
Okay.
Yes, but I think it depends on the person and their encounters with dementia, I would say.
Fantastic. I believe you've heard us talk about dementia so far, but you might not know what the definition or what the meaning is. A lot of people end up getting it wrong when it comes to dementia, but dementia is actually an umbrella term to describe a range of chronic and progressive generalized cognitive impairment in an individual with clear consciousness. So it's best defined as a progressive deterioration in cognitive functioning, resulting in decrease in mental capacity and ability of the person to perform normal daily activities, such as being able to bathe themselves, being able to feed themselves with their food, or any other daily activity that the person does. They might not be able to do it any longer because of this particular disease. And once the person ends up experiencing it, there is a decline in cognitive function. That is their mental state, how they reason or how they process information. It tends to end up declining, which is scientifically, or research has actually showed that is caused by the shrinking and variation of the structure of the function of the brain. So it's the part of the brain when there is the variation, because as we grow, the size of our brain ends up decreasing in size, so that could also contribute to that. So the most common under dementia, the umbrella term, is the Alzheimer's disease, which is contributing to 66% of dementia cases, and we've got other ones such as the vascular dementia and the frontal lobe dementia. And a lot of people think that dementia is just memory loss, and it's much more. We know that it's much more than that. So can you break it down? What other symptoms or signs should we be looking out for if someone is experiencing dementia or starts to show signs that they are developing dementia?
Yeah, so we talked about memory loss. So
Yes.
let's just break that down as well. Memory loss, it could be losing your keys, to also not remembering names, of people that have been in your life for years, your wife, your kids, and so forth, and losing spatial awareness as well, misunderstanding timings, dates, so getting that mixed up. And then it's about, I guess, also their current age. So we normally describe dementia as a bookcase. So when you shake a bookcase and then all the books fall down, the ones that remain are the bottom. So their earliest memories.
Yes.
So they remember their earliest memories from when they were 30s or 40s. So the kettle will probably look quite different to the kettle that we have now.
Yeah.
So if you're seeing someone take an electronic kettle and put it on the fire and then the house is burning, you will realize that they were just living in their reality. So people with dementia tend to live in their
Own
previous,
bubble, yeah.
exactly, in their previous life, in their previous, I guess, yeah, when they were younger.
Their
even
lifestyle.
though, exactly,
Yeah.
even though their present age is probably 70, 75. Yeah. So looking out for those signs as well, they're doing things that would probably make you question, okay, maybe we should get an intervention.
Yeah.
There's also visuospatial deficits. So maybe a black carpet might look like a black hole, and that's why they don't want to step on the carpet, because it just looks like it's going into nothingness.
Yeah, thinking, yeah.
So that is also something as well. Some lights may be too bright for them, like extremely bright. So it's also thinking about sensitivity to light, sensitivity to sound. So like crowded places will be very
Loud.
disturbing, uncomfortable for them, because it's just like they hear it so intently. So thinking about all these various aspects, mobility as well, slowing down, not being able to walk, forgetting how to eat. So it's a range of different things, but it goes on a spectrum of from early stages to
the progressive and the
late stages.
The late stages.
Yes.
And making mention of looking at it like a book whereby they lose some part of their life brings my memory back to when I was working on the NCS, the National Citizens Service, the challenge. I was working, and one of my young people, we went to a care home, a dementia care home, because it was part of our project, because that time was the first time that I got to see the elderly in a care home who have got dementia or getting management with their dementia. So that was the time that she opened up, and she shared a story of one time her grandmom, whereby they were at home, and their grandmom is in the UK, and she's late actually. So when she was in the UK, one evening they were just at home. I think it was a Saturday, 9 p.m. They saw their grandmom dress up, pack her bags, like no, she actually took her bag, like her clutch, that she's going out. They're like, "Grandma, where you going?" So, "Oh, I'm going out with my friends. They have invited me to a birthday party." And the friends that she's talking about apparently has passed on like 30, 40 years ago. And she in her mind, they have just told her that they're going to a party because she has lost that part. That's the part of her life that she remembers constantly, because what they were telling, what she shared with me was when her friends died, and unfortunately her granddad, which is her the grandmom's husband, actually passed. It kept on compounding, so they tend to end up experiencing that. And she even shared that that is how, if you hear a lot of elderly getting missing in the UK, that's a contribution, because they will just walk. You may think they are in their room sleeping, but they might have actually stepped out, walked, and they don't even know where they are going. So they might travel as far as from London, or even get on the coach that they're going to, let's say, Nottingham or somewhere else, and no one knows their whereabouts, and where they are, no one knows them. They don't have anyone's contact. So in that particular point in time, they go missing. So it really helped me to learn. So that was somewhere around 2017. So that's when I got to learn more about dementia. And also I signed up to Dementia Friend, because as pharmacists, we get to sign up to Dementia Friends, whereby we wear the yellow badge to be able to advocate and explain medication to caregivers, and also family who have got a family member or who is being managed with dementia. So that helped me to learn more about how we can actually support the elderly. But one thing that a lot of people get mixed up: does dementia only affect the elderly and the adults?
No, so there's young onset dementia, which is around 30s, but there's also childhood dementia, which is from infancy up to the age of 18. So it can be,
Any age range.
Any age
But
range.
why is it that it has made us tag dementia as the elderly kind of disease or condition, but this is not something that we tend to discuss as young people among ourselves, that we are also open to developing it?
Yeah, so on average, it normally happens in later stages of life. However, I guess we also classify the ones that don't really happen as much, like the childhood dementia and young onset, although they do occur, as rare dementias. So I guess that's why the focus is normally on older people. But really, we need to be taking a lifespan approach. And a lot of people are bringing in this perspective of lifespan approaches, because we need to start talking about dementia with our children from very young, so they're aware of it, and so they can adapt things, because when we're children, we're already susceptible to a lot of things. Sugar, we love sugar as children. That is also something we need to be very cautious of, because these habits can be brought about into our adult phase, which can be even more harmful. And there's association with diabetes and dementia. So we need to just be careful how we manage our lives, across the border. So yeah, we should be having these conversations at a more younger age, and maybe having an intergenerational dialogue. So where young and old people are talking about these issues. Yeah,
you're gonna come to the intergenerational conversations that we could actually have. You made mention of diet, that is sugar, being a contributing factor, and also you made mention of a condition which is diabetes, which is linked to when there is an uncontrollable management of our sugar level, which could also be from the foods that we eat. Is there a way that we could end up minimizing the risk of someone developing dementia, or is it one of those moments in life that when people grow old, they might end up developing it?
So we can minimize the risk. And like we were saying before, like not everyone that grows old will get dementia. And not everyone that is old will have dementia as well.
And that's a myth we need to burst, because a lot of people end up scaring the elderly, because I've heard a lot of conversations that actually end up going on that, oh, I don't want to grow old, because when I grow old, I end up actually risking my chance of developing dementia. That is a myth. That has no kind of any form of research that actually backs it up.
Yes.
Though it's common in the elderly, but that doesn't mean that every elderly in the world will end up developing dementia. Henceforth, we are tackling it from how we could actually minimize our risk as young people and even growing into our adulthood. What can we do differently? So, Rianna, is there anything apart from diet that we could actually do?
So reduce on alcohol.
Okay.
I think there's also exercise. Exercise is really good in terms of promoting mobility, improving mood, emotions, and so forth. So that is also something that is recommended that we do. And then also being social. So
I was about to come to that.
Yes,
that social engagement
is
help
very
to minimize.
important.
Okay.
Yeah, so people don't fall into depression and loneliness, which is also a risk factor for dementia. So there's a number of things that people can do. There's about, I think, 10 or going on 11, just actual things that people can do to reduce their risk.
Okay.
And frequency is very important. So just reducing your intake of sugar once a year is not going to have much of an impact, right? So it needs to be continuous, as well as exercise. One, walk around the park in a year is not going to cause much of an effect. It will cause a present effect, but the long-term effect, you want to continuously do this for a long period of time across your years. So it's about keeping up with these, reduction practices as well. But yeah, there is 10 to 11 risk factors and how you can reduce the risk of dementia by Alzheimer's Disease International. And I think also Alzheimer's Society UK have also published some of these things as well.
Fantastic. And just taking us a little bit back, we were talking about signs that we need to look out for, and we made mention of memory loss. We've made mention of the restlessness. We've made mention of mood change. But one thing that we didn't make mention of was confusion, which is very common in the elderly. So in terms of confusion, how would we be able to decipher between someone developing dementia from someone who is confused because they've developed an infection such as a urinary tract infection? Is there something specific that they would do that would make us become very cautious, or is it something that we have to straight away refer the person to their doctor? Or
I think straight away refer the person, because it could be dementia, as you were kind of describing, is like delirium, which is like a mimic of dementia. So it's not actually dementia, but yeah, whatever is causing the confusion, it needs to be taken care of anyways. So whatever it is, there needs to be some kind of intervention there to ensure that that person is not confused. So getting down to the root of the confusion is always a useful first step to do. Yeah.
Fantastic. So to my listeners and my viewers, confusion does not necessitate that the person has got dementia. It could possibly be that they are experiencing an infection such as UTI, which is urinary tract infection, which could happen to the elderly, could happen to the adult. So if you are there and someone starts to experience these signs, let's not make the conclusion that the person has got dementia. However, let's refer the person to the GP or a healthcare professional who could diagnose it properly and get to the bottom of it. Because as we make mention that dementia is a progressive condition or progressive disease, it does not take an onset just one day. It's the gradual step that tends to become fully blown. However, if we are able to identify it at the very early stage, management could be put in place to prevent it from getting worse. And some statistics that I actually found when I was getting prepared for this conversation was that dementia disease currently affects 850,000 people in the UK. And with that, 1 in 14 are over 65 years. 1 in 6 are over 80 years, and around 4,000 of whom are under 65 years. So it means 65 years and older can also be affected, as we've made mention of already. And apparently there is a linear increase when it comes to the number of dementia cases and sufferers in the world, because apparently as the world population is steadily growing, it means that the number of cases of dementia is also growing. Is that something that we should be concerned about, or is it something that we can actually do to help minimize the cases?
Yeah, so dementia is a global health crisis. It really is a global health crisis, and we do need to mitigate it in global communities. It's a conversation that we're having in the Caribbean. It's a conversation that we're having in the Africa continent. Kenya is very active in, dementia awareness, as well as Namibia, as well as Ghana, and we are having this conversation in Europe. So we can definitely learn from each other, I would say, certainly. And, different countries will need different things depending on their demographic.
Yes.
And we need to have more cultural interventions, things that include spirituality and faith and, just making sure that we're also tailoring the support to the people that need it is very much important, because it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So we definitely need to do that, I would say. But yeah.
I was actually happy that you made mention of making sure that we tailor the support to the culture and the faith. And most often, we tend to have these cases whereby the person might actually need support. We know that this is medical. It's nothing to do with spiritual cases, right? But the first intervention that comes in is spirituality, because where we both of us are coming from.
Yeah.
We are heavily Christians,
Yeah.
and God is our faith and everything.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we tend to go wrong within our community is that we tend to owe the cause of these to spirituality rather than looking at the medical. We do understand that, you still need God 100%.
Yes.
We are not going to end up discounting God out of this. But if the person gets the early intervention from the doctor, because the doctor is also being blessed by God to be able to have the knowledge and to be able to identify. So while this is going on and we bring the spiritual side of it, I believe that would help than going the other way around, thinking that spirituality and the person will only be prayed for rather than getting the medical support. So I'm happy that you brought that kind of intervention as well, because maybe how someone in the UK, how it's going to be looked at is going to be different from someone in Africa or someone in the Caribbean. So the tailored support helps the person to be able to feel like I'm being valued, because most often when it comes to healthcare, one of the things that we tend to forget is we tend to look always at the condition or the disease, but we forget about the human being who is experiencing it. So by tailoring the support and the intervention, it goes a long way of making sure that the person feels valued. So thank you very much for hinting that. And for my viewers and my listeners as well, in terms of diagnosis that can be done for dementia, diagnosis is not done by only one particular diagnosis. There are a series of tests that needs to be done. And one of the most common diagnostic tools that are used are is the mini mental state exam that helps to end up determining. So you cannot look at one person or look at one particular symptom or sign that they are showing to just make a conclusion that this person has got dementia. They have to end up get the mini test for the clinicians or the professionals to make that kind of conclusion. So let's not put people within that kind of bracket if we are not professionals or these diagnostic tests has not been done. So moving on, Rianna, how does the healthcare system, both in the UK and the Caribbean, support or fail Black individuals dealing with dementia?
I think it's a bit different, because in the Caribbean and, in most islands in the Caribbean, we're predominantly Black.
Yes.
So there's not really a race disparity.
Yeah.
But in the UK, it's a bit different because we are multicultural.
Yeah.
So then the emphasis is very much on how do we support this individual who's of Caribbean or Black background.
Yeah.
So I think there's a variation there. And then it's also the resources. Now we need to find, resources to support Caribbean communities. But when we're in the Caribbean, we're already there.
Yeah.
So it's just resources to support this individual.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a twofold thing.
Yeah. Fantastic. And we in terms of the in the Caribbean or within the Black community, that there might be different, there's no health disparity as you made mention of, but do people understand how they can support someone with the dementia?
So in the UK, I think we are definitely more knowledgeable in terms of how to support someone in the healthcare system. And I think they do emphasize doing dementia trainings and dementia courses that's available here. Whereas in the Caribbean, we're just kind of getting into this, dementia caregiver training sort of thing. And then in some cases, people are looking at other courses that they can do that is related to dementia because it's not really on offer on their island. So there's definitely, I guess, more resources to help to enable and upskill their healthcare professionals. There are dementia specialists here that just, support on a dementia level. So Alzheimer's Society, they have a BME, Black Minority Ethnic Group, dementia advisor, and they're kind of tailored to supporting those communities. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot happening in this space, I would say.
Fantastic. And obviously dementia is actually a disease, and for every disease people are looking out for how can we end up supporting the person who has developed it. Is it through medication? Is it through any kind of support? In the Caribbean, how are people who have developed dementia, how are they supported?
So it's a range of different things. So if they've decided to just stay in the family will manage it. So maybe the family member might go by their cousin for the weekend, or by their daughter for a couple of months, and then by their brother for another couple of months, and they manage it that way.
Okay.
Or the person stays at home where they are supported, and family members come to the person's home, and they just change around things, depending on the person's, the people that are caring for the person with dementia lifestyle as well. If they have remote working, then that can be more easier to maneuver. If they're working in the office, then they will just have to come in as and when, maybe on the evenings, or that kind of dynamic. So it's managing the family. There are family members who decide to go down the route of care homes. So we do have private
in the Caribbean.
We do have private care homes, and that is where people can get, especially professional support is very needed, because a lot of the caregivers who are family caregivers, they don't have that kind of professional background to actually care for their family member. So it's making sure that they also get professional support there. So care homes or managed by the family.
And do they use medicines to end up managing the condition? Or over there, are there any other, because I know it's from an African background, are there any other alternative medicines that they tend to use rather than using like the formulated tablets here in the UK?
Yeah, so it is kind of like medicines at the moment. I would like people to explore non-pharmaceutical approaches before, going into the medicine route, because we have this thing called ayahuasca, and it's like a Kalinago plant, indigenous plant, and there's not enough research that shows the impact, but the research that is already existing kind of is promising in terms of reducing the risk of dementia, or even potentially preventing it. And we have
that's before someone develops it, or whilst they've got it, before.
Exactly. So reducing the progression of the disease,
level,
or preventing it. And we have that in Dominica, but it's not being utilized. It is a psychedelic as well, so you need to manage the dosage to make sure it's not doing more harm than
to
good.
The person,
But it's not being utilized, and I mean, I know that we do use bush tea, but it's just general bush tea. Just, it's not really attached to dementia or anything. It's just, feel good teas basically. So it would be good to see more non-pharmaceutical approaches. Definitely. Yeah.
But do they go down the route of pharmaceutical approaches as well?
Say again?
Do they go down the route of using medication? Is medication heavily used?
Yeah.
Okay. So to my viewers and my listeners, in the UK, the evidence-based evidence-based research is what is being practiced over here. So what that means is that every medication that is being used for a condition, it has to go through a series of research and trials for them to be able to say that yes, we can end up using it. And the aim of the pharmacological options for Alzheimer's disease are only able to delay the symptomatic progression, as we made mention of previously, of the disease, but they do not offer any cure or any reversible neuroprotection. So the medication that is being taken is managing the side effects, the symptoms and the signs that they are showing, but it does not prevent it from progressing, but it helps to slow it down. And in the UK, the approved medications that are currently used in the UK are there's a group of medication called the acetylcholinesterase inhibitors that are used, such as the donepezil, the galantamine, and the rivastigmine, which are used to help to manage
There's
these
also
kind of
lecanemab.
conditions. The
Lecanemab.
lecanemab. Thank you for adding that as well. So these are what are being used as mainstream medication that are being used to manage this condition. Hopefully, as research goes on, hopefully by the time that Rianna finishes her PhD, she'll be able to come up with new ways of us managing the condition as well. And in terms of as advocates, what policies or systemic changes do you think are needed to improve dementia care and support for Black families?
I think definitely ensuring that your country has a national plan for dementia is super, super important. And in that inclusion, you could then put assistance for caregiving training and so forth. But I think policy development, it needs a multi-sectorial approach. So it cannot be individualistic. You cannot just prepare a plan and then go ahead with it. You need to make sure that you're listening to the community needs, because the needs in general might be the same, but it might not be. So making sure that you have a current view of actually what's happening in this space and what are the needs of our people. So you can put that into policy and then it can be acted upon. So I think that is one thing. But yeah, in general, I've heard a lot of conversation in terms of funding for caregivers training. Caregivers want to go on the trainings, but they don't have the financial support to do them. Most of the trainings, it's paid. So they would need, financial assistance or even transportation or something like that. Or if they need to look at daycare facilities whilst focusing on this training, then that is also something that needs to come about. So it really depends on the needs of that said community at that said time. But I think in general, just making sure that you are working with what's already existing. If there's already an existing plan, how can it be adopted? Is it adopted? Or just making sure that, what is already there is being utilized. And if it's not existing, then develop it and then make sure that it's implemented. Yeah.
So that it ends up beneficial to the current
Yes.
population. And we made mention of intergenerational knowledge and conversation. What kind of conversation do we have to have with the generation before us for us to be able to end up increasing the awareness for dementia? Because our parents are growing, we might have got grandmoms or granddads who maybe might have been experiencing something of that sort, but have not really shared with us for us to be able to say or direct them to the right places to get the support. How do we start that intergenerational conversation?
So it could be twofold. It could be the generation before us or the generation after us. I've seen conversations where families are actually having conversations and documenting it. And that provides, another way or an enriching experience because, you're having a conversation with a family member, this person, you know what to ask, as opposed to a complete stranger. So the conversation can be a bit more, thorough in a sense. But you could also have these conversations with strangers or friends. So it just depends on, their depth and their awareness of the condition and, have that kind of conversation, I would say. And it doesn't have to be anything formal. You could have this in just circle spaces. There are initiatives like the Friendship Bench, for example. I think that was in Zambia or something, where they actually provided a bench for people to sit down and just have conversations about mental health. So that has been quite instrumental, just creating spaces where people can actually share, and there's things like intergenerational circles. So where you have a group of people now talking about mental health and their experiences. So it just depends on what works best for the community and how best to share it. There's other ways of doing that. So storytelling, for example, which is quite prominent, still prominent in our community. So it depends on however you want to share your narratives.
Fantastic. And if there is one myth that you have heard about dementia, what would it be?
One myth. I feel like
That you
we've
like
covered we've covered most of them.
You would like to debunk?
Yeah, we covered dementia is not a normal part of aging. It really isn't. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that people can live well with dementia. So that is something we definitely have to kind of bring about a bit more. That there are things out there, tools, instruments, communities, support groups that can enable a person to live well with dementia. There are people with dementia who live in assisted living spaces, but there are people who live independently and they manage their lives and they get on with things. So we need to just ensure that we're, normalizing people to live well with dementia. Because a lot of the time people will say, oh, this person is suffering from dementia or suffering with dementia.
And they segregate them.
Exactly. And not a lot of the time people are actually suffering dementia. There's no pain or anything. They're, comfortable living their lives and they're aware of their condition, but they know that life goes on. So they are still living with dementia, living well with dementia, living with dementia. So changing the way that we talk about it can also help people to understand that there's more to the person than dementia, and they can live well with dementia, depending on the person's circumstances, the stage of dementia. There's a range of factors. But more or less, you can live well with dementia. Yeah.
Fantastic. And before we wrap up, you're someone who is heavily involved in social impact work, which we've made mention of most of your works. How do you take care of your own mental health?
I take breaks. I do. And I manage my life in a way that, I'm not constantly working on this all the time. Like I do sleep, I do rest, I do take short breaks. And I do enjoy life. Like, I have friends, I have family. I'm not an island on my own, you know what I mean? So I ensure that the community is also pointing to me as well. And then when I feel like, I'm getting to a point where I'm quite stressed out or something, I talk to someone. I don't just get through this in silence. I pray, I depend on my faith and God to get me through things as well, but also looking at practical ways of managing certain situations that I have gone through in the past. So I think that's kind of like how I keep on board with things. I listen to music, I do work with music, I dance, I take walks. So all these various things keep me going.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing with us. And unfortunately, viewers and listeners, this is where time will allow us. I know it's sad, but I hope you enjoyed the conversation. And this is not a conversation that you are going to let us get stuck with you, but you're going to share with others. You're going to share with your community, because that is what these conversations on this podcast is all about. It's all about creating a content that will help open conversation for different generations, for us to have a conversation about it, to bring change within our community. So I'm actually sad that this conversation is coming to an end, but this is where time will allow us. But this will not be the only time that myself and Rianna are going to sit down and have such a conversation, because as she made mention of that, she is having a PhD. So we will hopefully as time moves on, to be able to sit down with her again, to have a conversation with how that is going and some of the findings that she has actually had and she would like to share with us as a community, so that as listeners and viewers will also keep abreast with any new forms of information or new forms of ways that we can end up minimizing our risk of developing the dementia. So Rianna, where can the viewers or the listeners help to follow your works or find you to be able to support all the good works that you're doing in the community?
Yeah, sure. So you could follow me on Dominica Dementia Foundation. So that's a charity.
On all socials?
Yes, on all socials. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. Instagram is at DCA Dementia Foundation, but that's still us. We're also on X still, and LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
And then just for my personal socials, Instagram is Rianna Patterson _ say Twitter, X.
X.
Is on, X is Rianna Patterson.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Rianna Patterson MBPS, and Facebook, Rianna Patterson as well.
Fantastic. So if you would like to support, and I would entreat you to please support Rianna for all the good works that she's doing. I'm going to also put the details of Rianna in the bio, and also I'm going to drop the link of her works in the comment section as well. And also don't forget, that box over there, that big box over there, write everything you would like to share. Every question that you have about what we have discussed, please don't forget to share it. And if you've got a story about how someone very close to you and their journey of how dementia is being managed, you're more than willing to share the story within there to help someone who might be listening or who might be watching this on their channel, to be able to have that kind of strength to be able to pull through that season, or looking after someone who do have it, because we are a community. But before you share it, please make sure that it is something that it is not breaching the privacy of the person you are sharing about, because we are heavily about story sharing, but also making sure that that story is not breaching someone else's privacy. So please make sure that you've actually got that permission as well. So on that note, we come to the end of another fantastic episode, and I can't wait to hear your feedback regarding this episode on what we could actually do. But please don't forget to subscribe and like and press the like button as well.
Can I also just say, yes, please support the Shelf podcast. It's been fantastic speaking with you on this platform, and I hope that other people also come and share their stories and the work that they're doing. So.
Thank you very much, Rianna, for sharing this with my audience. So you've heard from Rianna as well. So if you want her to come back, please make sure that you do what she has actually said. So on that note, have a wonderful day, or wherever you're watching us from. Have a wonderful time in life as well. Make sure that you take breaks. Thank you.
Bye.